Let's talk about Texas. It's going to be a good time. It's a very beloved state, and there's some places to go on vacation there. There's a beach, which is not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the other place that is very well. There's plenty of other places, but Marfa, for instance, very famous. I've been there. It is weird, but today we're talking about the hill country. So, Stacy, how are you?
I'm doing great. I feel like I should have worn my cowboy hat. You should have worn yours too.
I have several. Yeah, I've got one right there, actually. Somewhere. I can't point at it. There it is. But yeah, so talk to me about your area and why am I going on vacation there and all that sort of stuff.
Sure. I covered the Texas Hill Country, which is a large chunk of central Texas. And basically, there are probably 30 different markets in that area, some more well known than others. I love it.
There we go.
If mine was closer, I'd go grab it, but we will carry on instead. So there are lake markets, there are wine, trail markets. There's a little bit of everything in the Texas Hill Country. And it's a really great market because Texas is growing so rapidly and the majority of people who visit these areas are Texans. And so we're seeing that growth across our vacation markets here too. So they just continue to grow and grow, and it's a really great area to invest in. We really don't have downtime. We are a kind of a year-round market because when most markets have, seasonal downtime in the cooler months or like January, February, the weather's beautiful here, and so people want to get out. We may slow down a little bit, but we stay pretty steady. We actually can slow down a little bit in the summertime just because it is so hot. But year round, we are pretty busy.
Slightly more vacancy than, say a super heavy market. Is that true? It's just it's more consistent year round.
Correct. We are more of depending on where you are in the Texas Hill Country, we're more of a long weekend market. So say, for example, kind of our wine tour areas or our little artsy communities, you're getting people who are coming in maybe on a Thursday, checking out on a Sunday or Monday. Lake markets, especially in the summertime, tend to be more week-long stays, but we do have a little bit lower occupancy, but most of our markets have a higher ADR so that it balances out.
I see. So in other words, I might have one or two nights a week that don't get booked, but my average nightly rate is pretty decent and not really any certain parts of the year where it just completely shuts off.
Correct. That's
I see.
correct.
Yeah, this very rare, and again, we talk about this a lot, but you may or may not like that. I have the opposite here where I live, on the beach, which you would never know by this getup I'm wearing right now that I live on the beach. But here we do completely shut down for 3 months, maybe more. In some cases, maybe even 4 months. So a lot of folks are a little nervous about that. Oh man, how am I gonna, budget? It's budgeting is really all it is.
Yeah.
But Smokies are very well known, which you do own there as well, and that is to be expected to be pretty much dead in January and February, depending on the size of your property. But it's only 2 months, and it's a very busy time of year with the holidays ending and getting back in the swing of things anyway. So you don't even notice it, and you blink your eye, and boom, it's March, and here we go again. So you're a little bit more like kind of low and slow where you're at, where just like more like we're doing a brisket on the barbecue as opposed to like just churning it out on a beach market, just turning and burning.
Yeah.
In Hill Country, we're doing some ribs.
Yeah. I love the analogy.
All
That's
right.
exactly right.
Well, where is this? I mean, I'm in driving distance between many large metro areas, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
Let
can you
me share
explain to
my
me, like maybe I
screen.
have a screen share of a map and show me where we're talking about here today?
Yep. Let's see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this
Hold on
is
just a second.
okay, sure.
There we go. Okay, cool. This is a not very nice looking graphic.
Yeah, so this is yeah, I like this better than maps just because I think it shows a breakdown kind of the different areas more clearly in the Texas Hill Country because we are such a big area. So if you're looking at a map, you see Austin up here, San Antonio down here, and Fredericksburg here. So really this is all hill country, but the your prime markets are kind of from Fredericksburg down to San Antonio up to Austin and a little bit north of Austin because there's a lot of lake areas up north of Austin that you can't see on this map very well, but that is also considered hill country. So kind of in this triangle here are your hottest markets for the Texas Hill Country. Um, Fredericksburg is probably the most well known. It's the wine country of Texas. Very charming. If you've ever watched a Hallmark Christmas movie, you have, experienced Fredericksburg, Texas, because it's just incredibly charming with great restaurants, shopping, all of that. Wimberly is very similar to Fredericksburg. It's a little bit of more of an artsy vibe because it's a little bit closer to Austin. But they also have wineries, they have all kinds of events throughout the year. So those markets are very, very similar and attract similar guests. Um, all of our markets, these popular markets are all within 45 minutes to a little bit over an hour from both Austin and San Antonio, which is great. So, if you have people coming from out of state, they can fly into either one of those airports and be very close. Um, but most people are driving in, from other parts of Texas. Then the
Wait,
lake
hold
areas.
on. How far
Yeah.
are we from, Houston and Dallas?
Houston, you're probably about 2 hours. Dallas is probably about four. But honestly, like for Fredericksburg, the majority of travelers who are coming in overnight are coming from Houston and Dallas. You
Hmm.
get a lot of people who visit from Austin and San Antonio, but that's a little bit more day trips. Um, our overnight guests are, you know, I would say the majority are from a little bit north in Texas.
And can we explain some of these little towns a little more in depth? I've been to most of them myself, but I'm nowhere near as qualified here as you are. Of course, Fredericksburg is that fair to say is maybe the biggest town in the area?
I wouldn't say it's the biggest town. I would say it's probably the most popular of the short-term rental markets here, just because it's very charming and the wineries. There's over 50 wineries in the area, so they do a lot of wine tours, girls trips, couples destinations, but we also get a lot of families as well. Then, like say Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is just about 45 minutes from San Antonio. It's a huge lake that, there's all kinds of water activities. It's all about the lake there. There's not really a whole lot to do other than go to the lake, but it's a pretty affordable market for the Texas Hill Country. It's probably our most affordable market. Um, you know, and then the
Am I
lakes up.
am I
Sorry,
looking
go
to
ahead.
buy something on the lake, or is that like through the roof?
So Canyon Lake, the way it's built, it was built by the Army Corps of Engineers, and so there are not a lot of lakefront properties, just because of the way it was built. So you're probably not going to be on the lake. There are a few properties, but yeah, they tend to be, over $1 million if you're on the lake.
I see. So they're pretty rare.
Correct. Yep.
All right. And what kind of a price? I know we're going to get more into this, but I'm jumping the gun here. Again, back to the Texas thing, jumping the gun. Um, what kind of a price range am I looking at there in Canyon Lake as of the recording of this in fall of 25?
Canyon Lake right now is pretty affordable, and there is a ton of inventory on the market. So you can get in under 300 sometimes, but probably around the 300 range is, where the most majority of the properties are. And some of these are brand new builds because there is just a ton of inventory out there.
And who's buying these homes? Is this somebody that wants to use it on the weekends? Is it somebody from out of state? All of the above.
Um, I would say the majority of my clients are Texans who, are familiar with the Texas Hill Country. They like the Texas Hill Country, and they want to have a short-term rental close to home that they can enjoy when it's not being rented. I do have, a fair amount of out-of-state investors, but I would say the majority is Texans.
I got you. Yeah, and that's what we all should be. That's the goal. That's the goal for
Mhm.
me. And then Luckenbach, I see that. I've been there. That is a postage stamp,
Yeah.
but has a lot of history, obviously, and of course the song. But are we buying houses around there as well? It is in the middle of
Uh,
nowhere, is it not?
It is in the middle of nowhere. Luke, this is like the best investment opportunity for anybody. I have said for years and years that a developer needs to go in and build a cute little downtown in Luckenbach because it's such a destination spot, and the Luckenbach Dance Hall is just so cute, and they've got the post office, and it's really cute, but not a lot of people are staying in Luckenbach. There's not a lot of places to stay in Luckenbach, but if a developer came in, I think they could make a killing out there.
There's just like not even really any homes there. It's very unpopulated.
Right. They have built a tiny home village out there, probably since you've been there, but other than that, there's really not a lot of places to stay near Luckenbach.
Okay, all right. We'll continue. What do we see next here? Maybe Wimberly or
Yeah, so Wimberley, again, really close to Austin. You're probably about 45 minutes from Austin. Very kind of artsy community, cute little, they've got a town circle instead of town square, but lots of shops, restaurants. There's a lot of weddings that happen in this whole area. So like Wimberley to Dripping Springs, and up around Driftwood and Spicewood, which I don't think you can see on this map. That's big wedding country, and so a lot of weddings happen there, and you get a lot of wedding guests, who are coming in to attend a wedding, and so there's good opportunity. There's tons of wedding venues out that direction.
and what about all the way over here, maybe on the west here? Is any of this Bandera, Medina, are these popular areas?
Not really. There's definitely opportunity there. Bandera is kind of cowboys. It's motorcycles and cowboys. And it's one of those towns where you drive into town and there are horses, there are people on horseback walking down the street and there's chickens running down Main Street. So it's a definitely a very eclectic place, and people do like to visit there, but it's not really someplace we get a lot of focus just because I think if you had a short-term rental there, you're mostly going to attract bikers, and I don't know if that's your ideal avatar for guests.
I'm Googling the population right now. It sounds very small. Population. Bandera has a population of 891 people. So,
Yeah,
and something tells me all 891 of those folks are very proud.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All
It's
right.
it's a unique place for sure.
And Kerrville, any of these areas, what else is worth mentioning here?
Those are kind of the main places that I recommend. Oh, New Braunfels, in Green, Texas, which is right next to New Braunfels. Those are definitely areas worth considering. You've got Schlitterbahn Water Park there. You've got two rivers that run through there. So summertime is very popular with people, tubing on the river. Green
Would it be
Hall.
possible for you to point at these while you're speaking of them?
Yes.
Like, it took me a
Yeah.
minute to, there we go. Yeah, New
Yeah, so
Braunfels.
here
There you
is
go.
New
Sweet.
Braunfels. Green is right here. So they're actually much closer than it looks like on this map. Green's actually closer to New Braunfels than it is Canyon Lake. But it's Green Hall is the oldest dance hall in Texas, and they have concerts every weekend. So you get a lot of people coming in for that. Again, Green has a very cute little downtown area with wineries and great restaurants on the river, and so it's a neat place. There are restrictions in New Braunfels and Green that you've got to be aware of, but it is a great place to invest.
Okay. And then back over, sorry, I cut you off there at the Kerrville thing.
Yeah, Kerrville, it's a little bit farther out than I recommend. There's a lot of outdoor activities in Kerrville, but there's not really, I don't think a lot of people are searching for Kerrville as far as a destination spot. Um, So it's not really a place that you can do well. I have had people look there before because, they just want to be in the area or they have family in the area. But it's not really a destination spot. So I don't typically recommend it.
More of a town though. There's 25,000 people there according
Yeah,
to AI.
it's a big area. It's a
Okay.
bigger than a lot of these places. And San Antonio and Austin are both great places to invest too. They both get a lot of tourism. Again, you just have to be aware of the restrictions and make sure you're playing within the rules.
Right. Austin is extremely well. Let's just slide into that then. As far as restrictions are concerned, let's start back from the top. I think
Sure.
Fredericksburg is maybe slightly more restricted than other areas, but I'll let you give the speech there.
Yeah, Fredericksburg, so they do have a lot of restrictions. The great thing about Fredericksburg is they are very well defined. So you know exactly the rule book that you're playing by. And essentially, if a property in city limits does not have a permit, you aren't getting one. So you've got to buy something that already has a permit because the permits are grandfathered and transferable. So the great news is there's a lot of properties on the market that have permits, so there's plenty of inventory. And so, Fredericksburg actually, even though they do have some pretty strict restrictions, they make it very clear as to, what you need to do.
I have some questions there. So,
Sure.
this sounds like it's nothing like we hear about Nashville or San Diego or New Orleans, where they have a very limited number of these permits, and it sounds like it's fairly common in that area. They just don't give out new ones. Is that true?
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, they're trying to balance the needs of the residents with the investors in the area. So they're not removing anybody's permits. They're just saying we're not giving any new ones.
Does a house is a house worth more if it has a permit?
It does. Yeah, about
It is
30%.
30%. Oh
Yeah.
my. Can this permit be transferred?
Yep. It's absolutely transferable.
So if I'm
And
the
it's
owner,
grandfathered with the rules in which it was implemented.
okay, we need to check with the city, I would assume, but is it a situation where if I buy a house that has a permit and I wanted to switch the permit to another house, I could do that?
No,
No.
the permit stays with the
Stays
house.
with the house. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay. So 30% more there, but I can go
yeah,
can I go just outside the city limits?
yeah. That's a great opportunity because outside city limits, are no restrictions. Unless there's a homeowners association, which is not super common in this area. So outside city limits, you can get some pretty good deals. If you're willing to kind of turn it into a short-term rental.
But it's not going to be as hip, cool, cute, and like, right there in the town center, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have some folks who own outside of city limits and they do great, but they've made their properties really beautiful. In fact, when we show properties in just a little while, I'll show you one that's outside city limits and it does really well. But it's a beautiful property. They've done a good job setting it up.
And then let's move over to Austin as far as regulations. That's extremely heavily regulated. Is that true?
It is. So Austin and San Antonio both go by density limits. So you can only have so many short-term rentals on a block. So Austin, probably about 2 years ago, tried to basically shut down short-term rentals and say that if you didn't live on the lot itself, that you could not short-term rent. They were sued and they backpedaled, and that's no longer a rule. So it's purely based on density limits. So it takes a little bit more homework, if you're looking in Austin, but there are lots of short-term rentals, and they're pretty good about issuing permits. You just have to, it requires a call to the city to say, okay, can this property be a short-term rental? And they're going to say, yes, as of today, it meets the density limits. And so then once you close, you have to apply and get the permit.
So this doesn't really sound all that complicated for a city
Mm-mm.
because again, what we're talking here, this is a city. Austin is a major city and it's
Yeah.
grown tremendously over the past 10 years. And it's not uncommon at all for cities to not want overnight rentals in the neighborhoods and single family homes. Totally
Yeah.
normal. So it sounds like it can possibly be done there, but it's definitely a different vibe than what we're used to, here where we're dealing with vacation town and a vacation house in a vacation town. If you're getting into Austin, just be aware That's a city, and it's a
Yeah,
whole different thing. It's a different way to rent it. You're going to have a relationship with your neighbors and play by a lot of rules and
yeah.
play ball. And it's not really something I would personally be interested in, but it does happen all the time. And for the right people, it's a can be done for sure.
Yeah, and I always tell people, you just have to know that the risk is they can change the rules at any time. Austin and San Antonio do not rely on short-term rentals, whereas Fredericksburg, and Wimberly, they heavily rely on short-term rentals. If they shut them down, they would basically halt tourism in the area. So, because there's not enough hotels. Austin and San Antonio don't have that problem. So, you know, that's just something to be aware of, that there's a bit of a risk there. But I think with Austin in particular, going through the lawsuit that they had a couple years ago, I think, I'm not anticipating them to make big changes anytime soon. And San Antonio, it seems to have been stable for quite a while.
So again, what is the lawsuit?
So Austin tried to say that you could not short-term rent on your property unless you lived on the lot. So if you had like a guest house or something, you could short-term rent. And then, lots of short-term rental owners brought a lawsuit against them and Austin lost. So they've obviously, removed that restriction and now it's just density limits.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of this is due to the invention, for lack of a better word, of Airbnb. I mean, it put a lot of attention on the map for what's going on here, and it's not something that hasn't been going on for 100 years, but they made it, a household name. So I think over time, cities are going to understand that this is not some weird new thing, and everything will just kind of shake out, and they'll,
Yeah.
certain cities will have the way they do things, and that's just the way they're going to do things. It's not unlike when all of a sudden we were no longer taking taxi cabs and we were pushing a button on our phone to have somebody pick us up at our house. All of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, the whole country had to relearn how to, use a vehicle to get them from point A to point B. And that's calmed down and everybody understands it now. And that seems to be happening with the whole, Airbnb as well. But
Yeah.
again, I use the term Airbnb because that's really what you're doing in the city of Austin. It's more of an
Hmm.
Airbnb than it is, a vacation rental. Uh,
Yeah.
so what about restrictions and regulations, et cetera, in some of these other areas?
Yeah, so Canyon Lake is wide open. There are no restrictions. You can basically do whatever you want as long as there's not a homeowners association that restricts it. There's a lot of homeowners associations in Canyon Lake that do allow short-term rentals because it is such a heavy vacation market. So Canyon Lake is probably the easiest to short-term rent in. New Braunfels, Green, and Wimberly all have the same rules. Basically, you cannot get a short-term rental permit in a residential area within city limits. So you either have to be, in a commercial area or a multi-use area, or it has to be outside city limits. So typically, like with Wimberly, I just recommend you look outside city limits. There are a few properties that have conditional use permits, but they're not transferable. And so you have to go through the process of getting it approved again if you were to buy that property. And it's a little bit risky and it's a big pain in the neck.
Got it. Okay. Anything else we need to cover on that subject?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that is pretty much it for restrictions.
And just for the record, if God forbid somebody from the city of Fredericksburg stumbled on this and thought we were talking negatively, I'm not at all. I think they handle things very well, and
Hmm.
I think that they're doing a great job of protecting their integrity. And it's just the cutest little place on the planet. And
Yeah.
I think that the way they handle things is exactly how I would. I mean, not that I know how to run a city, but anyway, we're not saying that every damn house in Fredericksburg needs to be on Airbnb in any way,
Right.
so I think they do a great job.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very helpful that they have all the rules spelled out, up front. So, it protects everybody and helps everybody be successful, in my opinion.
Okay. So what am I looking for? What is a typical property that I'd be interested in buying look like?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different properties that really appeal to people. So you've got your cute little cottages in Fredericksburg, and even in New Braunfels, that are just very cozy and quaint, that appeal to people. And then you've got like the beautiful modern type of properties. And I've got a couple of ones pulled up. So can you see that?
Yes.
Did it switch? Okay. So this is a cottage. This is in one of my owner's cottages, and I don't know if you can tell from the pictures, but it's just very quaint. It's very well done. It's very uh, cute, and you know, it just looks like a place that you would want to stay. Um, so this is just a little two-bedroom cottage in Fredericksburg that does really well. It's got a lot of personality. Let me see if I can. This one was actually done by a designer. So like it's got fun wallpaper on the ceiling, and it just has personality. So people are looking for kind of those Instagrammable moments when they come to the Texas Hill Country. You're going to get a lot of girls trips, a lot of couples trips. So they want something that excites them to stay in. Let me show you. So, and this is one that's actually outside city limits in Fredericksburg that does really, really well. I don't know if it's coming across well on the screen. It looks a little bit overexposed on my
No,
side,
it looks
but
good here. Looks good here.
okay. So this one is just kind of very modern, but again, beautiful stay. You've got some Clint Eastwood art on the walls to appeal to, Texas, and this place has a pool, and so it does really well. Pools do well if you can find a property with a pool in Texas. It's hot here, and so especially in the summer, anything with a pool is going to do really well. This place is in Johnson City. I like this one because of what they've done with the outside. They've just, done some really cool murals. They've got this outdoor, it's almost like a theater area. Um, and this just really appeals to people when they're looking for a great place to stay. It's
Cowboy pool.
eye-catching. hmm Yeah, this is actually an ice plunge or a cold plunge pool, so which is not common in this area. So I think it does pretty well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're using it like a outdoor chill. I mean, I can't
hmm
imagine it's at like the freezing cold temperature all the time.
I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure people are using it more like, a little outdoor pool, which is a great idea. And in fact, that's what people do. Hot tubs are also very popular here, which used to boggle my mind because it is so hot here. But I think they just don't turn the heat on in the winter, in the summertime, and then use it as, like a mini swimming pool.
You speak of the heat, and I'm going to change the subject just a little bit. What are we doing for natural disasters here? Are there any?
Not really. That's a great question. We really don't have any natural disasters. I think the biggest thing that we face is hail. And, we may get one hailstorm a year or so, and usually it's small hail, that doesn't do any damage. Um, Tornadoes are always, I guess, a risk. I am not familiar with any tornadoes that have touched down in this area, that did any major damage in the last 20 years or so. So we really don't have natural disasters here.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go back. Go ahead. Go back to.
Yeah.
Can I see the exterior? Maybe close the top left close,
Yes.
and I'd like to see the exterior. Well, we did see this one. So
Yeah. Here, let me
bad
show you this
example.
one. Mhm.
Yeah, they've got them all organized. So there you go. Okay, it's just a house.
Yeah, it's just a regular house.
Do they call those
Um,
saltillo tiles?
yep.
Those are out of New Mexico originally, I think. They're very popular there.
Yeah. Funny enough, we have saltile tiles in our house, and I didn't put them there. They were there when we bought the house, but yeah, that tends to be a popular look in some of these older houses.
Which makes me think, what's the HVAC situation? Is it just regular central air or is it in the
hmm
floor?
Yeah, no, it's central air, and it's vented, usually vented through the ceilings. Um,
Okay.
and so this is a place up in Lago Vista, which is a lake community, and it's just really bright and airy. Feels a little bit like you're in a tree house. but very modern. I'll show you the outside of this one.
Hmm. Much more modern and probably newer.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. I think it was built in 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
I noticed they even had tile on between the windows
Hmm.
on the
Yeah.
interior. Is the garage functional? What they do with the garage? I'm curious. I love it.
Um, right now I think it's still a garage. I don't think they have turned it into a game room. My client just bought this a couple months ago, so they're still working on getting it, outfitted. So I think their long-term plans are to turn the garage into a game room.
I see. I'm a big fan of a garage. I would definitely leave that garage intact and use it when
Yeah.
I'd park a motorcycle in there and lock the door. Uh,
Yeah.
but obviously, you're gonna have an easier time renting it if you do something fun with it. I do have a garage at a rental that I put a beer pong table in, which comes at some controversy because people have mentioned to me that you really want to promote them playing beer pong. I'm like, well, they're going to do it anyway.
Right.
So
Might as well give them a safe place.
yeah, that way they can shut the door if they're getting too loud.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
That
one
one's,
more. So,
oh, look at this. Now, this is in my wheelhouse. I like the modern new one. It's cool and
mhm,
it's probably very easy to manage if it's a 23, they've already worked the kinks out.
right.
But this is my wheelhouse here now. Look how
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, this is probably one of the cutest properties that I have ever sold. It is, and it's like walking distance to Main Street in Fredericksburg. So it is super cute. You
This
got the
is in
white
my
picket fence.
wheelhouse. Look at
Hmm.
the fence. This is right here in my
Yeah.
wheelhouse. This is the kind of thing I'm gonna buy. What's with the staircase on the second? It's two entries.
No, so this Fredericksburg has a lot of what are called Sunday houses, and so people who lived out in the country way back in the day would come into town on Sunday for church, and they'd come in on Saturday. They would spend the night in these Sunday houses and go to church on Sunday, and then head home, back out to the country because they were horses and wagons and stuff, and it took a long time to get to wherever you needed to go. So these Sunday houses, a lot of times had like these staircases on the side. There's nothing like my clients they've not finished that out or anything. It's a pretty low ceiling and things like that. But I think they used them for extra sleeping areas, way back when. So it is an opportunity to, utilize that additional square footage and, maybe put some games or something up there
I
or,
just like the story. I would put a little note,
mhm.
in the house about the staircase for people. I mean, think of. I mean, they were sleeping up in. It probably can't even stand up in there, and there's
Yeah, you can't.
definitely no air conditioning.
Right.
So, what a life they were living. I mean.
Hmm.
And it sounds kind of fun in a lot of ways, and then you think about how hot you are all the time.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
let's keep seeing. I
Yeah.
want to see more of this. This thing is so
Okay.
cute. Is that like an original? Is that a wrought iron fence that's been painted white?
I think it's actually a wood picket
Wood.
fence.
Okay.
So let me see. And so they've got the, old-fashioned
This is okay.
wallpaper.
Whoever owns this, if you happen to see this, which they won't, but this picture's not good.
Yeah. I know.
They need a
They've
few
got,
more pictures as well, but we're not doing listing rehab today. That's cool. That thing looks like
yeah.
it's been there a really long time.
Hmm. Yeah, they that this is in the bathroom over the sink.
I love the wallpaper in the bathroom move. It's kind of dumb in some ways because of all the humidity and it can peel the glue off. But
Yeah.
man, look at that. That
Yeah,
is so cool. I
old-fashioned
love this
claw
thing.
foot tub.
I'm renting this house. I would definitely
Yeah.
rent this house.
I'll send you the link when you're ready
This is
to.
me. I'm
Yeah.
going for, Avery maybe would want the modern one just because it's easy. But this thing to me is just cute as pie. Look at that.
Yeah.
The ceiling.
Yeah, it's got its, I don't know if you can see in these pictures. I think that's a tin ceiling.
Mm.
Um, so it's just very cozy.
Love it. I would do a
Yeah.
couple things here with the flooring in the couple rooms, but man, definitely leaving that sink and the
Hmm.
bathtub and just what a great house.
Yeah.
Love this.
Yeah.
What does a
It's
house
super
like this
cute.
cost or like today?
Um, so The market's very slow. It's very much a buyer's market right now. So you probably could get something like this for about 450.
Oh, 450. And how many bedrooms is
Mhm.
it?
It's two. It's two bedrooms, one bath, I believe.
Okay. Well, that's not cheap.
It,
Uh,
it's not cheap. And part of that is because it is walking distance to downtown Fredericksburg. The location is
Location.
phenomenal. Yeah.
I can't imagine there's a ton of these just hanging around.
Mm-mm.
Like
Yeah.
something this cute, at least.
Right.
Look at the original, the heart pine floors. I would assume that's what that is. Maybe I made that up, but it's what it looks like to
It
me.
probably is.
Got the
Yeah.
beadboard on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Just, just a treasure here. This thing, I love it. I'm smelling it. You know what I mean? I
He
guarantee you,
smells
it
like an
just
old house.
smells like a great old house. It's got
Yeah.
creaks in the floor. Love it. I'm renting that thing. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, cool. Um, sorry, I got completely taken by this little thing here.
I know. It's a cute house. It really is.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about purchase prices and what to expect. Maybe go back to that modern one. What's something like that
Sure.
going for? Are there a lot of new builds and how much would something like that go for?
So this one is in Lago Vista. It is not that close to the water. And I think it's sold for around 600,000. So something like this in Canyon Lake is probably a little bit cheaper, maybe less than 500 or around 500,000. Um,
Something like this near Fredericksburg does not exist, I would assume.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really have anything this modern. There are some, more modern places, um,
But they're going to start to
but
get a little further from town.
correct. Yep.
I see. So the location on the little cottage that I'm in love with versus this thing, they're not even in the same ballpark.
Correct.
They're
Yeah,
completely different things.
yep. It's apples and oranges.
I see.
Yep.
Doesn't mean
This
that this
one,
location's not as good. It's just different.
yeah, this is up around Austin, near like Travis, and so it's just a completely different, guest experience.
Okay. All right. And what about these other two? Well, give me an idea on a price range on something like that one that looked like just a regular old house. Was that this one? I think it was the second one, maybe.
Yeah, this one. Something like this one actually is on about 5 acres, has a pool. It if without the land and everything, you're probably, and it's outside city limits, so that helps the price point as well. But you're probably for something turnkey like this, you're looking at 8 to 900.
What area is this one in?
It's outside Fredericksburg,
I see. Okay.
but it's only about, probably 7 or 8 minutes to Main Street in Fredericksburg.
Would you consider this? Can you scroll down or maybe go back to the main listing on the back button on the top left? Would you consider this one? Yeah, there you go. Would you consider this in the country?
A little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit in the country,
We had a
but you
ham
still
radio
have
tower. Okay.
that's how they get their cable. No, just
Yeah,
kidding. I don't know. I don't know what that is
I would
for.
guess that that's no longer in service and just hasn't been
Yeah.
taken down. That's a nice pool. That's a nice looking house. It's big.
hmm Yeah, it's a big house and it actually has a guest house over here. So with the guest house and everything, that does push the price up a little bit. But if you just had a house like this, with a pool, you're probably looking around 900K.
Wow. Okay. And that first one there, I don't even remember what the exterior of that one looked like actually. Perfect
Mm,
place.
let's see.
Yeah, can you hit the back button for me? Oh, that's
Oh,
cute. Just a little house with a carport.
mm-hmm. It's kind of cottagey.
This is Fredericksburg
Yeah, this is Fredericksburg.
with the lime Topo Chico. I like that. That'll suck me in. Is this in a
Yeah.
neighborhood? Is there a neighbor there, or is that no? It's just a tree.
It's not a close neighborhood. There are neighbors around it, but
Are,
it's probably about a third of an acre that
are
it
they
sits on
also going to be rentals for the most part, or not
for the
really?
most part. Yeah, a lot of them are.
Yeah. Or second home weekend situations.
Hmm Yeah.
Okay. Can you hit back on the top left there?
Yeah.
Just to show the whole listing. Oh, yes, the wallpaper on the ceiling.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, this is wonderful information. Did we miss anything?
Um, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Okay, so we've got price ranges for just about everybody. It sounds like we're down into the 300 sometimes in Canyon. What does 300 get me in Canyon Lake? Something like that cottage, or does that not exist there?
That doesn't really exist, but you can get some new build, a little bit more modern looking places in Canyon Lake. I will say in Canyon Lake, there are a ton of rentals on the market. So there's a lot of competition. The competition is not stiff. A lot of them have like hand-me-down dorm room furniture and don't have professional pictures, so they're not doing a great job. But there's just a lot of competition. So you have to have something that kind of makes you stand out. So a beautiful place, great pictures, some amenities that, most people don't have. And I'm not talking anything crazy, but hot tub, some outdoor games, things
Great
like that.
price per night. That's what I always go for. If you can have the
Hmm.
best price per night in town, you're always going to get booked.
Right. Right.
So sounds like tons of competition that's not competitive, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see.
And I'll say in this market, the vast majority of rentals are with a property manager. And most of them are the bigger property managers that don't do a great job. So, if you're looking at a existing short-term rental, the numbers generally don't look that great. There's exceptions to that, just because these property managers are not paying the kind of attention to the listing that needs to be done. A lot of them are not even on Verbo, they're only on Airbnb. There's a lot of opportunity to come in and improve performance for, existing short-term rentals.
Rental history is what you're saying is probably not really something to pay much attention to.
Right.
More
Yeah.
more so enemy method and data sources and
Yeah.
air DNA and all that is
Yeah.
fashion forward. See what the future looks like, not what the past looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
a lot
mean,
of them are second homes. And so people are using them a lot,
hmm,
or they have family that are using them a lot. So they're not even being rented full time. So the numbers can look, they can be disappointing.
100%. We see that all the time here where we
Hmm.
live, and I got a whole street full of these giant monster beach houses that are empty. They're all always empty, and
Hmm.
very few of them where I like in my immediate area right here are even being rented. They don't rent them. They just come in for 2 months a year in the winter because they live in Michigan or whatever, and it's a wonderful life. It is,
Yeah.
so, but to be able to rent it, if you pick something that it's a fine line because at least where I live, there are neighborhoods where the neighbors might not be all that excited about you, but then there's other neighborhoods where there's nothing but rentals. And it's funny because those ones, now we're getting off in the weeds here, but the one, like I have a house that's in a neighborhood that only has two primary homes in the entire neighborhood, and they are so vocal. It's almost like it's almost like they live there because they want to complain,
Yeah.
it's just it's a personality type. I'm going to live in this neighborhood where nobody lives,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna bitch about it.
Yeah, we have a residential neighborhood in San Antonio, not too far from me. And when you drive through there, they all have no short-term rental signs
Mm,
in their yard.
yeah.
So if you're in the big city, you definitely don't want to be in like a cookie cutter neighborhood. You want something that feels a little bit special. You don't want somebody who has gone from their house in Houston that looks just like this house,
Right.
to stay. They want an experience and something a little special.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In a neighborhood like that, I'm gonna get a hotel. Probably,
Hmm. Yeah.
So, but anyway, all right. Well, it's been wonderful. Anything we forgot? We're good there.
I think we covered everything.
Cool. Well, it's been a good time, and any opportunity I had to wear, I know your husband wears a cowboy hat all the time. which I'm very jealous of that. I don't know that I could quite pull that off here on the beach. It's every now and then.
You could
Matter of
be a
fact,
trendsetter.
yeah, well, actually, that's last year's daddy daughter dance. One of the gentlemen, I did not know him actually, which I was shocked because he seemed like the kind of guy that I need to know. Wore a cowboy hat, and I was so jealous. But yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, you're wearing flip flops or slides like 80%
Yeah.
of the time down here. So. But anyway, I
You need to
appreciate your
come with
time.
Avery and see Wimberly, and you could be walk around in
Well,
your cowboy hat
she's in
all day
love.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife, Avery, short-term shop leader, fearless leader. She went to obviously University of Texas, and she's extremely fond of the area for sure. She's taken me there before, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right, well, thank you so much.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
how do
Talk
we
to you
find
later.
you? Let's plug you. Why not?
Oh,
It's just an email address or whatever you like.
yeah. Stacy with an EY at the shorttermshop.com.
Wonderful. All right, well, we'll see
Yeah.
you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.